Well, welcome to the era of $3 gallon gasoline. It's back.
Yeah, we don't like it, but everyone, of course, looking for little ways to save at the pump. And our Monday morning mechanic, David Rogers from Keller Brothers Auto Repair, is joining us live with some tips for guzzling less gas. Hey, David.
Hey, Natalie. Hi, Tom. How are you two today?
Good.
Good. Hey, I'll tell you what, I just heard this morning that gas may very well go up to $4 a gallon before the year's over. So this stuff's becoming more and more critical. I have a whole bunch of things to talk about today, so I'm going to go kind of quick. The first thing I want to tell you is your car is like you. It's got to breathe. Okay, we talk about these air filters all the time. People are like, oh, it can't be that big of a deal. It's just an air filter. But this is where the air starts coming into the engine. And if your engine has one of these to breathe through instead of one of these, it's going to have a hard time getting the air it needs to mix with the fuel and burn. Basically, after that air filter, the next thing that we want to think about when we think about the air getting into the engine, this is an oxygen sensor, and I know you're thinking, what on earth do I want to know about that for? Because most people don't know, and they don't change them as part of regular maintenance. Here is where the oxygen sensor is, this little blue wire, and it hooks into the exhaust system, and it tells the car's engine how to mix the fuel and gas so it burns efficiently. Well, when your oxygen sensor is bad, then the fuel goes in here. It'll dump raw fuel into the exhaust. And then what you get is you get your catalytic converter, which costs several $100s. And this thing goes before the muffler. Now, this thing, when you take it and you let that raw fuel drop in there, what happens is the inside of the oxygen sensor, or the inside of the catalytic converter, burns up and it's destroyed. And that creates a huge restriction because it becomes plugged. And not only will you not get good gas mileage, but you might not be able to drive, and you certainly won't pass emissions. So that's kind of the air intake part of the oxygen, or part of the fuel emissions that we need to pay attention to. Now here we have some good gas, and here we have some bad gas. And you see how this gas gets solid and hard down here after it dries up a little bit because of all the sediments in it? Well, what happens when that happens inside the car, it also does that inside the fuel injectors. And you get those hard deposits in the fuel injectors, and they can't spray the fuel in a fine mist so it doesn't ignite properly. So what the key is here is to keep the fuel system clean. We use some products called MotorVac, and it actually is used with a machine. I've showed it before on the show, and it heats those solvents up, and it cleans out everything in the fuel system from the beginning to the end. A couple of more tricks that I can tell you real quickly. First of all, get a tune-up. Get your spark plugs replaced and your wires, because when these things aren't working right, they're not burning the fuel right. Change your gas cap on the car. If you haven't put a new gas fill cap on the car in the last 4 years, get a new one no matter what. It's going to save you money. That gas evaporates. The last thing I'm going to tell you is change your fuel filter at least twice a year. When they change the fuel, change the filter. I got a whole bunch more stuff for you, but I can't do it today. If you stop by and see me, I'll give you one of these for free at my shop, and this will tell you just about everything you need to know to get your gas savings, or stop by the website and click on it, and we'll teach you all about it.
I'm excited. I was worried that you were going to say get a bike. So this is much better.
That might be cheaper.
Thank you, David.